Although control normally flows from one line to another, in C++, there are a lot of constructs that can change that, cause some lines to be skipped if a condition isn't met, cause some lines to be run repeatedly in a loop. Why are there multiple ways to do things? So that you can choose the one that most expresses what you're trying to do. Really, you use them according to the idioms of C++. So to choose between for and while, for example, I'll often ask, do you know the number of iterations in advance? In that case, I would prefer to use a for loop. But if you don't, for example, I'm going to read input until someone enters a negative number, or I'm going to read a file until I've read all the records, I would use a while. There's no compiler reason for that difference. It's about the person who's reading your code. If you're choosing between a switch statement or just a bunch of if statements, my general rule is if there's going to be 3 or more all testing the same variable, I'd like to use the switch. And as for the immediate if or ternary operator, I'll ask, well, are all 3 parts short enough to fit on a single line? If they are, then this is a good candidate for an immediate if. If they're not, you're probably only going to confuse people. Use a regular if. It's important to remember the compiler will accept an awful lot of things that don't make sense to people. So there are a lot of ways to do things because you want to express your intent to the people who are going to read your code. And this is a recurring pattern throughout C++. This is perhaps the first time we've bumped into it, but it certainly won't be the last.